Hello, hello. Welcome to another Craft and Connect edition of our live streams. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and I was feeling the need to be creative. So let's see if anybody stops by to watch me. Learn a few things as we go. Don't be shy. Make sure you say hello in the chat, and we will get going. Because I have lots to share today. I'm going to be focusing on some products from Tailored Expressions. They're not brand new, but they're fairly new. So, we've had them in our library and reordered them a couple of times already. But there's so much to know about them that I really wanted to break it down and do a live so that everybody can see how great they are. Chris says, you play, I'll work. Okay. I can do that. Okay, so we are going to get going because we've got lots to cover. I'm sure people will tune in or watch on replay, come and go, or whatever. I'm going to remove these for the time being. I am going to focus a little bit on one specific die to start, and it is this one here. It is the Bursting Balloons. And this particular die is very versatile. You can do a lot of different things with it. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a balloon cluster no matter what you do. But there are several different techniques that you can do while you're creating with this. So I have kind of broken it down, and Amanda has been kind enough to make some samples for me. And we are able to create some different things with the samples already made. So I'm not actually going to make a card, but I'm going to break down some of the techniques that are used on some of the card samples that Amanda has provided. So this is the balloon cluster right here. And you can pair that balloon cluster with lots of different things. You might have, critters in your stash already. You might have birthday sentiments, stencils, all that kind of stuff already. But it's kind of fun to have an element like this that you can add in with other products that you already have. And by doing that, what we're going to do here is we're going to create the front, which is here. Okay. And then we're going to take the backer die. So let me show you the two dies that come in here. So there is a front die, which is kind of like an outline die. So that's this one here. And that gives you this see-through part with the holes in the middle. Okay. So when you cut this out, you're going to get the outline, and then all these pieces are going to pop out as well. And in some cases, you're going to want to use those pieces. In other cases, they'll just be garbage. In this case, we're going to use the outline in black. And then the background, this is not a shadow because it doesn't go larger than the outline piece in the front. It just fits perfectly over top. Okay, so it's like a backer. And you can do a number of things with this piece as well. So in this particular situation, Amanda's got a beautiful like ombre blend going on here. So I'm going to show you how to do that and get the look that she's got here. Now, as far as colors go, I've been talking a lot about that palette playbook system that Tailored Expressions has recently released, and I am in love with it. I keep saying that, and I talk about it, and we are selling them like crazy. And I just want to share with you that every time I sit down to do a project like this, unless I've seen a sample already done and I think, ooh, I love the colors they used, and you've got something to go with, you kind of have to come up with your own color scheme. And sometimes that is the biggest hurdle to get over. So I decided finally that I was going to store my palette playbooks in the binders from Tailored Expressions. I wasn't sure at first. I thought, I don't know if I'm going to like that. I might want them in a bin or whatever. So I just had a big stack of them, and I was always shuffling through them. But I did go ahead this afternoon and put them in the binders. So if you haven't seen this, this is the medium-sized binder from Tailored Expressions. And then you can buy the sleeves that go inside. There's a 20 pack. And I have the full set of palette playbook cards, and I was able to put all of them in 2 binders, and then the third binder is going to be for my neutrals, and the themed ones, because there's 2 themed ones out right now, which are the birthday boy and birthday girl, but there's 5 more coming. And I know they're going to be adding on to this. So I'm going to save my 3rd binder for my neutrals and my my themed ones. So here's that birthday boy, and then on the reverse is birthday girl. Now I did put mine in back to back. If you want to be able to see the front and the back of your if you want to see the front and the back of your cards, then you're going to want to have one sleeve for each card. I'm okay with pulling out the cards to see what's on the back. And so that's the way I'm going to store mine. It cuts down on the number of binders, and it also cuts down on the number of sleeves. So if I want to see the back side of that, I just pull that out. But in here, we have the birthday boy and birthday girl. So I'm actually going to pull those out because we are going to work with those colors today. So on the backs of these cards, I'm not going to show them because that's the secret part. On the backs of these, there are additional combinations of color. In case you haven't heard me talk about the palette playbooks before, they are on a heavyweight laminated card. I had a customer tell me just the other day that she purchased one because she just wanted to see what the quality was like. And she said she's totally impressed. They're very heavyweight laminated cards. Easy to wipe off if you get ink on them or splatter or anything like that. And on the flip side are 5 more color combinations that are going to be for birthday girl. These differ a little bit from the regular palette playbook cards, because the regular palette playbook cards are actual ink or cardstock colors that they have in their collection of inks and cardstock. So they focus on one color, and they show you where in the range of shades in their lineup it fits. And then they give you that color, and then they show you combinations of other colors to add with it to help you pick what you want to work with. And so this is going to be kind of like a calculator for math. Once you start using it, you can't really think on your own anymore. You really need these to work with. And that's going to be my downfall with them, I guess, because I won't be able to pick colors without them. And I'm finding I'm going to them all the time. And like I said, the themed ones are a little bit different. They don't focus on a particular color. They focus on a particular theme. So in this case, it's birthday boy, birthday girl. Now I see some questions here. Melissa's tuning in from Ireland. Well, that's so exciting. And Heather says, what is the sleeve that you used for the binder? It's the medium page sleeves for the medium binder from Tailored Expressions. And they fit perfect right inside there. There's 20 in a pack. So if you do back to back, that holds 40 cards, which is quite a number. So yeah, I really like that. I see another question. So if you don't have to, okay, okay, I'm glad you asked this, Anna, because I'm going to address that today. So we've been talking a lot about the fact that these are Tailored Expressions products, and I do use a lot of Tailored Expressions inks when I do my creating, and I'm going to use some today. One of the reasons that I use the Tailored Expressions inks a lot in my craft room is because of where they're situated in my room. They're very close. It's the closest ink company to me. So it's the one that I can grab the easiest. I can't say that I love one brand more than the other. I use them kind of all for different reasons, because each brand has a wide range of colors, but there's always holes in those colors that are filled maybe with another brand. And I mean, I know I'm very fortunate, and I'm able to have more than one full set of inks in my craft room, but I have to use all the different products and share them and tell you about them and all that kind of fun stuff. So just because these are Tailored Expressions cards does not mean you have to just use Tailored Expressions inks. And it's actually quite easy to use other brands' inks because you have this card. Now, you obviously can't walk over to the shelf and look for ink in the Concord and Ninth brand that's called Cotton Candy. It doesn't exist. But if you take this card over there, you're going, especially if you've swatched your inks, you're going to be able to take your swatches and put them up against this and get something fairly close. Now, I used a stencil, which I'm also going to talk about later on in the live, and I pulled out this card, the birthday boy card, okay? And I purposely took it over and picked a different brand of ink. So I actually went with Oxide inks. Those are the inks that I pulled out. So for Cotton Candy, I chose Broken China. For Dill Pickle, I chose Mowed Lawn. For Kiwi, I chose Twisted Citron. And for Concord Grape, I used Chip Sapphire. Are they 100% exactly the same? No, but I will show you. I used a stencil and I blended them out, and that is what I came up with. I think it's pretty darn close. So even if it was off just slightly, it doesn't matter. This is still a great tool no matter what brand you're using. Now, you might find if you're, let's say, using Concord and Ninth inks, that you can match 3 of the colors, but the 4th one you just can't quite get right. But you have another brand of ink like Lawn Fawn, or if you have Gina K, go and look at theirs. You can mix and match Gina K inks with Concord and Ninth inks, with Tailored Expressions inks. You can even mix them with Distress inks and Distress Oxide inks. So it doesn't matter where you get the colors from. As long as they, well, no, I mean, obviously you can vary them any way you want to, but as long as you can kind of get close to this, you're on the right path. So, yeah. So this is Concord Grape. This is actually a little bit more purple than it is blue, but I didn't want purple for the birthday boy combination. I really wanted to kind of go with that deep navy blue. And so I chose Chip Sapphire, and it worked excellent. You're also going to get variation when you're blending if you're using inks to do this, because sometimes you blend lighter, sometimes you blend heavier. These are Oxide inks, so they have more of an opaque finish on them versus a translucent one. So that varies. It's a lot of factors, and you can use these for cardstock as well. You don't have to use them just for inks. So in other words, if I was going to use this and the pieces that pop out of this frame, I wanted to cut in cardstock, I could use this to pick out my cardstocks as well. And again, whether you have the matching cardstock to go with Tailored Expressions or you have other brands in your stash, who cares? Just pick the colors that are closest to the combination that you see here, and I almost guarantee you it's going to work out every time. If you go way off the path, you might get a bit of a different look, but if you go, fairly similar, does not have to be exact, then you're going to be very happy with your results. What you see here is what's going to translate onto your project. So it is very, very easy to go into other brands. So don't stress about that at all. Although Tailored Expressions has spent a lot of time coming up with these color combinations, and they do use their brand names to match with their inks and their cardstock, it's totally okay. So I hope that helps. And I wanted to stencil this out so that you could see that I used a completely different ink company, and I ended up with really good results. So, and I even purposely chose Oxide because they aren't a translucent ink like Tailored is, or Concord or Gina K. They have that more of an opaque, not so see-through kind of look, which does give you a different feel on the front of your card. So it worked very, very well. So I hope that kind of helps. So like I said, these are themed, not specific to any one particular ink. And the 4 combination on the front of each of these is only 1, and then there's 5 more on the back. And yeah, they're just amazing. I like I said, I find myself going to them all the time now. Like even like if for markers, for coloring images, what color combinations do I want to use? I mean, obviously these are not blending colors if you're using Copics or anything, but it gives you, okay, well, I want a blue kind of in this family. So maybe you can find a marker that is close to that. And then you can find the blending partners that go with it. And that will give you that shade. And maybe these colors will work with whatever design you're working with. So you can really mix and match what you use them for. They'll work for all of your different mediums, sprays, pastes, like all kinds of stuff. They're a really great tool. I mean, heck, you can even use them to decorate a bedroom. You can use them for paint chips or whatever. So there's lots of options. Okay, so I am going to show you how some of these products work. And I did use, for the ones that I'm going to demonstrate with, I did use the Birthday Girl card so that I could pick out my colors. Amanda had kind of done something similar with her designs. So that you can see that it's got that pink and the orange in there. And then maybe it blends down to a really light yellow. So she kind of has this going on, but I'm going to take it a little bit more literally when I do my blending. So we're going to take this background piece that I pre-cut, okay, and we're going to create the piece that goes, in behind this black frame piece. So I'm just going to do kind of like an ink blend on here using this color palette to do that. So I have the inks right here. So here they are. So we've got dragon fruit. Oops, sorry. We've got bubblegum. We've got pineapple. Oops. Let's switch that out. Actually, I'm probably going to blend them in this direction. And then we've got sweet potato. So I'm switching up the order. And it's really cool because in the layering stencil that I use to do this, there are 4 stencils and there are 4 inks in this blend. So some layering stencils have 5, some have 6, some have 3. So you can pick and choose which colors you want to use, and you're literally using the same color on the whole part of the stencil, and it all just perfectly works out. So it's kind of like magic. How much is the full set of blending cards? That's a very good question. It's $259.99. That gives you, I think it's, I don't know exactly how many's in there. I'm guessing and saying 80. I know there's a few colors that they didn't do cards for. They're the some of their neutrals, like the white, the toffee, the black, because those are neutrals and they go with anything. So they did not include those. And then there's and that the full set does not include any of the themed cards. Those are not part of the full bundle. Those are kind of like add-ons, and those will come and go. So we do have several people that have requested them, and I've got them ordered for them. I have 1 extra set coming right now, but I was talking to Christina before I went live, and I think she wants that as well. So if you are interested in a full set, let me know. I mean, our plan is to always have like 1 in stock, but we haven't been able to keep 1 in stock because people keep buying them. So just let me know, and I can get those ordered right away, because we want to make sure that they get here for our next shipment across the border. We have a shipment coming this Thursday. There's no way they're going to get there in time for that, but August 6th is our next one. So if you want to get in on them and get them across the border before then let me know. Just email, because then I can get those orders in right away, and we'll get them to you. Yes, Carol, yours is en route. I do not think it's going to make it for this week. It might. It's going to be very close, but if not, it'll be here by August 6th. So yes. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of an ink blend on here. Now, we could have done this a couple of ways. I could have just blended on a piece of cardstock, then taken this die and cut it out, which might be the best way to do it, because then you can kind of place your die where you want it. Let's do it that way, because then that way we know for sure we're going to get a good blend. And I did cut out some extra paper because I thought, I'll probably change my mind. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get out some blending brushes that will allow me to do a nice blend. And I know when I want to do a nice soft blend and have my colors blend very nicely together, I always pull out my 1-inch brushes from Pinkfresh. Now, that's not going to give me deep color. At least it doesn't give me deep color. But it does give very smooth and even blending. And I'm going to start with the dragon fruit as my first color, and I'm going to move through the colors that I have here, except that I flip these 2 around. Some of it is kind of not necessary, because when you overlap your pinks with your yellows, you're going to get orange. But I'll follow this blend as closely as I can and just see how we do. So I'm going to pull out my 1-inch brush. I'm going to use the dragon fruit ink. It is raining here now, quite heavily. The sky is very dark, but I do not hear thunder at this time. So I'm hoping we're not going to get a wicked thunderstorm and like lose power or something. So I'm just going to start blending kind of up here. I only have to cover enough to do this die. So I'm not working with a very big area. And I'm going to be trying to overlap the colors a little bit. So we'll just blend the pink. And if you want to just keep deepening that color, just add a little bit more to your brush and blend again. But the nature of these bristles, they're very soft and there's a lot of travel. So you're not going to get super dark color when you use these, but look how smooth that blend is. Isn't that amazing? So we'll cover that one up. Now the next one is also a pink, but it is a lighter pink. So I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm going to just swirl it on here to get most of that dark color off there. Most of it was off anyway, but I'm just going to make sure that it's off. And I'm going to come in with my lighter pink. I don't know how much of a difference you're actually going to see, but we're going to try. Just because it's pink to pink. But it might make the transition to the orange a little nicer. Oh, wow, it's really raining. Okay, so you can I don't know if the light will pick it up, but this is more of like a fuchsia, and then this is getting into more of a corally kind of color next to this. I can't go too big though, because again, this is gonna, we're gonna run out of space. So there's bubblegum. Now I'm gonna go in with my sweet potato, which is kind of like an orange color. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And we're gonna blend over top here because I want to get those colors to blend together. But with the palette playbook, there's no thinking involved. You just kind of dive in and you just know it's going to work out. And some of the inks might look a little bit blotchy. First of all, the camera makes it that way. I don't know why, it just does. But they do have a leveling agent in them and they do smooth out. But I'm looking at my paper and it looks very smooth. There's a little bit of a dark spot here, but when I look up at the camera, I'm like, wow, that looks kind of heavy in one area and not so good in another. It's not like that in real life. And then this is the final one, which is the yellow. Now, what I was saying before, the beauty of doing it on a panel like this versus on the pre-cut die cut is that I can place my die anywhere in that combination to get the range of color that I want. Okay, so we've got those three colors on there. So just to bring this over here. So there are the comparison. And if you look up at the top here, that's kind of, the blend. So it's very close. I did switch up the orange and the yellow and went the opposite direction just because of my rainbow blend. Just going to clean off my spot here so I don't get ink on everything. And then we're going to take our die and we're going to put this die on here and we're going to get that nice graduated ombre on the background of our paper. Now, I'm going to be using my new Anna Griffin die cutting machine. And the way I have it set up here, I can't really bring it on to the, well, maybe I can. It's going to be zoomed in pretty far. And I'm going to take it off the little carousel. We'll put it right here. So here it is. This is a new machine to me, and I've been really enjoying using it. When we first talked about it, we have it up on our website, and we found out, well, actually, I found out, I just wasn't comfortable with the pricing on it. I reached out to them, and it turns out I was not charged the correct price for our machines. So there is quite a reduction in the price of this machine from what it was originally listed at. So if you went and checked it out when I talked about it the first time, go back and check again. I don't remember exactly what our price is, but it is much, much better. This machine is spectacular. I have never used an electronic machine as amazing as this, and I knew it was going to be great. I've heard so many great things about it. So we're really happy to have this. I've already ordered again. And by the way, we refunded the people who had already purchased them, and they got a nice little credit. So anyways, this is my plate sandwich. It's very easy. There's one clear plate on the bottom, my magnetic mat, and then another clear plate on the top. And that's what I'm going to use to cut out this panel that we just made here. This mat here is magnetic. It's kind of like a self-healing mat that is magnetic. And this is what you're going to cut into. So this is the piece that you're going to replace the most. often, and we have those coming. They come in a 2-pack, but you're going to get lots and lots of wear on this. No, it's not a smaller model, Marianne. It is the same machine. I reached out to them and I'm like, something's wrong here. And they went looking and they're like, oh yeah, there's something seriously wrong. So they fixed it all up for us. And I've got more machines coming, and I'm telling you guys, this is amazing. So I'm just going to put this on here. So when I put my paper down, my cutting blade is going to go down on top of that. And this literally goes down on here. Now, this is not going anywhere. It is stuck on there. So like you can have tiny little die cuts. You can do all kinds of crazy things on here and nothing is moving. Like for me to move this piece around, I really have to move it. No tape required ever. And yeah, and then you just turn on the machine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this arrow. That makes the rollers start. So I'm just going to kind of get this in here and lined up. I push this forward, and then it's going to grab it and take it through. And it just comes right out the other side. And it's very, very quiet, very smooth. I've been using this now for, well, a couple weeks now, and doing quite a bit of die cutting. I mean, die cutting is something that we've got to do to get all these great things that we want to work with. It's not my favorite part. It's not my favorite part at all, especially when you have a lot of pieces that you have to die cut. This machine, it doesn't even irritate me. I just don't even mind cutting. It's so cool. Now, you'll notice how straight my plates are. No warping, nothing. It's so amazing. So, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to pop this out. Okay, and you can save that for something if you want to. But I'm going to just, I've got too much stuff on my desk here. Let me get my brushes out of the way. Where's my garbage? Right here. I am just going to pop out the garbage pieces. And then we will get this lovely die out of the back here. And you'll see what we've done. So here is our beautiful piece that we've ink blended. Doesn't it look fabulous? So it doesn't look blotchy or uneven or anything anymore. And then we're going to take this piece and place it over top like so. And then that gets glued on there. And that is how you get that beautiful ombre background on your balloons. So let me bring Amanda's card up here just so you can see isn't that awesome? Like that's how you do that. That's so easy. And then she's added some little like gel pen accents to the inside, and then some sentiments on the top. And then these are the Fuzzy Wuzzies from LDRS. And, you know, she's added those at the bottom, and it's awesome. So these little sentiments here, that is from one of the Bitty strips. This is the Everyday Occasions. And you get these 4 groupings of sentiments. So you get 4 different stamps. There is a matching die, and there's also a backer die that cuts these out like strips. And then they're just little short words that you can use to pair up with other sentiments you have, or you can use them on your own. So I love these, and they're super fun and easy to do. And you can, like, you know, stamp and die cut a whole bunch of these and put them in a container. And then anytime you need a sentiment, you just go grab it. It's super easy to do. So that is how we created that background. Pretty fun, right? So that's one way to use this die. So let's put this one away. Okay, we'll just get rid of all those things. And I still need the dies. And then we're going to pull out another way. So the next way I'm going to share is a similar look, but this one is different than this one because all of the balloons are a different color. Okay, so we did an ombre blend where we go from pink and then it kind of goes into the orange and then into the yellow. But this one, we've got orange here, we've got yellow here, we've got pink here, we've got orange here. So you're doing different colors. Yes, Chris Sabin. Okay, so yes, more Fuzzy Wuzzies. I haven't got an order in right now, but I've got a long list of orders to do. So yes, we will definitely be restocking Fuzzy Wuzzies. They are so popular. People love them, and they're really cute to play with. So yes, again, if you're interested in any of the Fuzzy Wuzzy stuff and you don't see it, email me, let me know what you're looking for, and we'll get you on the notify list too. And then that way, when they're back, you don't have to keep looking. So I'm hoping, I've got quite a bit of ordering to do. I'm hoping to get some of, like, a lot of those orders in so that they do arrive around that August 6th time frame, but you know, things don't always go as planned. So to do something like this is very easy as well. You can do it with cardstock. So what you're going to do, if you want to do it with cardstock, you'll cut your outline piece out like this in black, because we want the black to be on the top. Then you would take this same die and you would cut it out of different colors of cardstock. And then the pieces that pop out are like this, right? So when they pop out of the die like this, they're going to be like this. And then you just reinsert them into the die wherever they go. I don't know where this one goes. Right here. Yeah. So if pretend this is out of pink cardstock, and then you would just insert that back into there. Now, you don't have to cut a whole piece out of pink cardstock. You just have to put your section of the die that you want to cut over your pink cardstock. And that's where this machine becomes incredibly cool. So if you have a little scrap piece of colored paper, and just let me grab one. I'm not going to grab pink, but I'll just grab anything just to show you how easy it is to do one section at a time. Because you don't necessarily want a whole bunch of orange or red or blue pieces. You don't want all the pieces to be that color. You just want one. So you can put a piece of cardstock on here and you can place your die. Like I just want this section right here to get cut. Perfect. I mean, you're going to get a little bit from that one, but it's not moving. I don't have to tape it. I don't have to do anything. I'm going to run this through. Sorry, it's off screen, but I'll show you how easy it is. I mean, my other machines, I have to get the tape out and I got to make sure it's, you know, there and it doesn't move and whatever. But now I have a perfect little piece, one piece that I can insert in here like so. Okay, so there we go. We got the blue piece, and then you can just move on to the next one and so on and so on. So just lost the Facebook connection to the video. Well, I'm glad you came over to YouTube. Facebook is not as reliable as YouTube is. It just isn't. We have very few viewers that watch on Facebook. Like I can see where everybody is tuning in from on my little chat here, as long as you say something. Very few people use Facebook. Most people are using YouTube. Now we do broadcast on both. So whatever your preference is fine. But the stability of YouTube is better. So if you can join us over here on YouTube, that's awesome. So that's one way of doing it. So you can cut out all the different colors of cardstock and insert them in there, and you can get lots of colors that way. But you can also do it with ink. So if you like to ink blend, you can do it that way too. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut your back panel out of white, and then cut your front panel out of black, and you're going to layer these two together. So we have got to glue that down. Okay. So that's where this wonderful glue press is going to come in here, because this is quite fine. And we're just going to glue up all the little pieces because you want them to stick down. And just take your time. I'm hardly squeezing my trigger and the glue's just flowing out nicely. And I'm able to get it all on this outline piece, and then we're going to stick that to our background. So you do that first because you want each part to be sectioned off and you want to be able to color it differently. And all we're going to do is a little bit of masking with a Post-it note, and we're going to be able to ink blend each section whatever color we want. You'll have to use a slightly different kind of brush just because you want to be able to get in those areas. I don't recommend, well, for me anyways, I don't plan to use a really detailed brush because I still want that nice, soft, easy blending. And sometimes with detailed brushes, you get, they're made to put more direct color down, so you don't get nice, smooth blends with them necessarily. I mean, that's not true. I'm saying that wrong. You do get a nice smooth blend, but you tend to get more color than I would want doing it this way. So we're just going to match up the front die cut with the back one. It's very easy to do. Liquid glue is your best friend because you can move it. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that's lined up. Yep. Okay, so there we go. Got the black on the white. And now, like I said, all we're going to do, if you don't want to cut out all the different colors of cardstock, you can ink blend with this as well. So I'm going to use those same colors. that I used in this one, which are from that palette playbook suggestion. And I'm going to use this style of brush. Okay, so this one is like the original style of blending brushes, but a smaller head because we're doing a smaller section. And all I'm going to do is get all the junk out of my way here. Excuse me. I'm just going to do one color at a time. And like I said, I'm just going to grab a couple of Post-it notes to help me mask off any sections that I don't want to blend in. So I'm going to start at the top here. So I'm just going to mask that one off and mask this one off. Okay, so now the only thing showing is this one. And we're going to start with that dragon fruit color. And I've just got my ink pad off to the side here in a holder. And I like to take the ink off on my mat first, just so I don't go in super hard. And I'm going in with a very, very light hand to start. Super, super light. I'm actually going to start kind of on the paper. And I'm just going in very, very light. Swirl around. And I'm not concerned about getting it in any of the other sections because I've kind of got those masked off. And my top layer is black. So you're going to ink on that and it's not going to matter. And your bristles will get right into the edges, right along the black cardstock. Then you can go back and pick up a bit more ink. So you can keep adding ink until it's as dark as you want. So if you want a light blend, you just blend light. And that's the beauty of using ink versus cardstock, because with cardstock, it's just one color. Like you can't, well, you can darken it up, I guess, with some ink and stuff on the edges. But this is just, it gives you a lot of freedom to decide how deep you want your color to be. So now I'm just going to remove those sticky notes. And I want this one down here to be pink. Okay, so I'm just going to mask off the ones around it, like so. And again, go in there with that same pink ink really lightly. So start on your Post-it notes and go in. And just keep adding ink until you get it as dark as you want it to be. Now, I want this to be a little bit darker because my two pinks are different. And I want them to reflect differently when I have my full blend done. So I'm just making sure I layer up this color nicely. So there's those two dark pink ones. And all the other ones are not affected yet. Pretty cool, right? So now we're going to switch to our next pink, which was the bubblegum. Okay. And I'm using the same blending brush. I'm just going to take that cloth, which I've lost. Where did I put my cloth? Could be on the floor. Okay, I'll get a new one. Okay, so I'm just going to clean off that brush. Get the dark color off if there's any left on there. And now I'm going to come in with that different color of pink. Whoops. Okay, and now I want to do this one down here. So we'll just mask that off. And I mean, the masking is not 100% foolproof, but it does do pretty good. So you just want to be really careful that none of the other parts are showing. Okay, and again, I'm just going to start blending. So this pink should be a little bit different tone. Depends how dark I blend. And hopefully there's no residue left. Oh yeah, it's a different color. And then we'll do this one in the center. So I might have to move that Post-it a little bit. So I'm going to start with this part. And this part has to be masked. And I need one more Post-it note. Well, I might need two more. We're gonna wing it here. So I'm going to stick to the side over here. But I think I'm getting a line. Yep, I thought I might be. Okay, so let's cover that up. I'm just going to turn this a bit so I don't get any pink there because I want to fill that in. Well, I've really got a line now. But it can be fixed. Okay, and now I'm going to come over here. And up here, And now I can focus on this spot. So you just fill it in. And you can see how my pinks are different. One is like definitely more like fuchsia. Okay, so, oh, I got another line. So you got to watch how you mask. Let's see if I can get that to fill in. I don't want to get this part. Because they have rounded edges to them. There we go. It's all filled in. Okay, perfect. So that's those two. And now we're going to come in with that sweet potato, which is like that orange color. And I'm going to do this top one here. Okay, let's focus on the bottom. So really easy to sort of section off parts of it so that you can get the different colors in each section using an ink blend. Okay, let's just cover this one here. And now we can do this part over here. And you can even like go dark to light in certain sections. So you can do lots of different techniques with ink. And it's just using that backer die with the outline over top. And I will put these side by side so you can see the differences when we're done from the one that we did at the very beginning with that ombre blend. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to try to avoid this section over here until I can move my paper. So I'll start on this side. If you're really confident in your blending, you can go close. And the thing is, though, if the orange starts to go onto the pink, you might get a new color. And then it sort of starts to look like that ombre look. But I really want to go for more of a completely different color in each section kind of look. So I'm just going to cover this one up here. And now we can focus on this spot. Okay, and then we've got one final color, and that is the pineapple, which is the yellow. And it's our lightest color. So we'll see how I do with the blending without masking. And then we can bring in masking if we need to. So again, I'm starting in the middle, very light-handed, kind of pushing towards that outside edge because there's nothing over there. And then I'm just going to throw a piece of Post-it paper there because I want to get right close to the edge. But I don't want my yellow to overlap my pink because if it does, it's going to turn orange. Not that that's a bad thing, but like I said, I want to keep those colors separate. Okay, so there's the yellow. And then we're going to go in over here. And then down here, we'll mark that off. Like so. So now we have all the different colors of balloons. Like we have, where's the card sample for that? Huh. I thought I had one. Hang on. It might be over here. Yes. So here's one where she did a similar technique in a different color scheme. Okay, but here is the one that I got from the Palette Playbook. And here is the one that we did the blend on. Okay, so you can see the difference if you look closely. I mean, at a first glance, it kind of looks similar, but you can see that you've got just pink here, it goes into the orange and then into yellow, but you've got pink here and here, got orange here and here, yellow here and here. So it's a bit more separated, which is really cool. And that's just a different color combination of inks to get that look. And if you look really closely, you can see Amanda did do the masking technique, but you can see that, you know, a little bit of orange got on there and a little bit of blue got on there. But if you're just really careful with your blending and your masking, you can block those areas off for sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's that technique. Now, another one that I really, really like with outline dies like this is the fact that you can make shaker cards really easily. So I want to keep this one handy because I'm going to be doing something else with that. Okay. So the last one that we're going to look at with this backer die is this one here. This might be my favorite one. And this one, there is a shaker card. So really, really cool. And the reason you can do that is because you have this outline die. So it creates holes, right? So kind of like a frame. So what I did was I cut this out of 110-pound white paper 4 times. Okay. And then I stacked those dies together. So see how you've got thickness there? So that's going to create my well. Okay. And then you still need the backer to put it on because that's going to hold everything in place. But you can see that you've got that beautiful blend on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like we did the first time. We're going to do a beautiful rainbow type blend. And then we're going to cut the front piece out and insert the smaller pieces that pop out into the wells here. So that's going to make the back and the front look as if it's got the same ink blend. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of paper right here and we are going to do an ink blend on it. Okay, so I'm going to keep with the same color palette, the birthday girl one. Here it is. Okay, so we're going to kind of do that same blend. And this time I'm going to make sure that I get, you know, enough to do the whole thing and be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same brush as I used last time. So I'm going to start with the pink. I'm going to leave one of the colors out though. I'm going to leave out the bubble gum. I'm just going to use dragon fruit, the sweet potato pie, and the pineapple. So again, flexibility within your cards to pick and choose which colors you want to use. Okay, so bubblegum is out because 2 pinks close together, you don't really need to do it. There's no point because we can make just the 3 colors do something similar. So we're just going to get some of that ink off because it's very vibrant. You don't want to go in too heavy. And we're going to blend lightly. So even though it's a very dark color, these brushes are magical. They allow you to get that nice smooth blend. Okay, so there's the first color. Now we're going to come in with the sweet potato pie. Okay, so that's this color. And I'm going to blend right over top of that pink. So I want to get a really good overlap because that's where you're going to get that sort of ombre look. Kind of creates a new color. See that happening? So it kind of is almost like a coral color in between. And then we're going to add our yellow, which is our pineapple. Okay, and that's going to be down here. But again, I'm overlapping that orange from the sweet potato pie. Okay, so there's our nice ombre blend. And I'm just going to put my die over top here and make sure that everything is going to be covered. And you can kind of position it however you want. So I'm going to go more like this. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and cut that out. But we're going to be using both pieces meaning the outline and the pieces that are going to pop out when we do our assembly. So I'm just going to clean this up so I don't end up with this all over everything. I really don't know what I did with that cloth. You know, it's a real talent to lose things while you're sitting in one spot. I don't know how that happens. Do you guys have that talent? Or is it just me? Okay, bring this back in. I'm just going to put my paper on here. I'm going to position my die cut how I want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and run this through the machine. See how I tipped that sideways and lined up my plates? I don't even care because it's stuck there. It's not going anywhere. Oh, so Christina loses things all the time? Perfect. Sometimes I'm staring right at them and I still can't see them. Okay, so now we're going to lift this off. Okay, and set that aside. And I'm going to be careful when I poke these things out because I have to put them back in. And I just want to know where they go. Okay, that one didn't quite cut. I needed to do that one. Okay. Come on, let go. There we go. So I'm not worried that it didn't cut, because I can run this back through. So I'm getting rid of the garbage. And there's one piece right there. And one here. So I'm just going to take that plate and run it through one more time. I'm using kind of a heavy paper, so sometimes I have to run it through again. I'll just give it one more shot. Okay, perfect. So I'm just placing those on my mat just so I know where they go back in. Okay, so now those are all the pieces that pop out, and now we have the outline piece. Right here. So it's got that beautiful ink blend on it. So that's going to be the front, and then these pieces are going to pop in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this, and I need a backer. Where is my backer? Right here. So I still need a solid backer piece because I'm going to put this on here like this. I'm going to glue it on there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the glue on the back here. This is kind of the boring part. Sorry, guys, but you got to do it. And you want to make sure you're going to get a nice good seal here because it's going to go on the base of your the back of your shaker. You want to make sure that it's all stuck down there really good. So don't miss any spots. And I love shaker cards. I do not make them live very often. They're a little bit of work, but they're so cool. Okay, and we got this piece all here. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to take this and we're going to place it on our backer. And we're going to line it up. And then I'm just going to put a magnet or two on here. Just to push it on there. Make sure that it's sealed up. Okay. And then we're going to take these pieces and push them into that well. So it fills in all that white space. And then we'll finish off our shaker, which is really easy. Okay. So just like a little puzzle, what I do is I put my glue inside here. And then I'm going to take this piece And I'm going to stuff it down in there. Oh. So you're going through lots of layers. So trying to be as accurate as possible when you're putting your shaker, like your layers together, it's really important because otherwise this piece won't fit. But mine is fitting in there beautifully. Perfect. Okay, there's one. And then again, throw some glue in there. Just enough that, you know, it's not going to take off and go somewhere. Just use your nail, your tweezers, whatever. Just push it in there. And then it will seal up with the glue. Okay, and then we'll do this one. So do you see where I'm headed with this? Because the ink blend you did, oh, that's not the right piece. Is it? Nope. Which one goes here? This one? Yep. Perfect. That's this one. It's pretty easy to figure out which ones go where. So if you had just ink blended the background on its own, it wouldn't be the same as the piece that we're putting on the front. This way, the blend will match perfectly. You see what we're doing there? If you blend it separately, like we did in the one card where we just blended the background and put it on, it won't be the same. Oops, that's this one. Unless you're really, really good. And I'm just not. So this makes it really easy. And you can do the same exact step and use boy colors if you want boy balloons. You can do baby showers. You can do anytime you use balloons, graduation, so you can match school colors, like all that kind of stuff will work really nicely for this die set. And I'll run through the products again at the end because most of them we have in stock. Pretty easy, pretty fun. And you can see how that blend is ombre, just like we blended it to start with. Now this one, I don't know how this goes in here. Just like that. Okay, so now we've got all of our pieces in there. We're just going to test this. This piece is going to get glued on the top here, and you can see how it's seamless. Your blend on the top piece and the bottom pieces is exactly the same. But we want to put some things in here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use the tiny diamonds from Tailored Expressions. Now, I don't have mine in the containers anymore. I like to store all mine in a little container like this. And you can mix and match your colors. And the other thing I saw that I have, and I want to add, ooh, this might be fun too. Okay, so I got some of these, what are these called? Shaker beads from Pretty Pink Posh. And this color grouping works really well. So I am going to open this. I'm going to mix some of this together. I might not use the tiny diamonds, actually. I might just shake it up. And there was one other product I wanted to use right here. These are called Sparkly Dots, and they're from Tailored Expressions, and you can see how sparkly they are. So I'm gonna go rogue here. Let's get rid of these. Amanda used these, and they turned out really great. So these are the tiny diamonds in there. And they're really fun. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. So let's get out a container here. We need a couple of them. So I'm going to pour these little shaker beads in here. Ah. I'll put these in another container afterwards. Store them. So I'm just going to grab... what am I going to use? I have a little spoon somewhere. Here we go. Here's a little spoon. So I'm going to put some of these in each of the wells. Ooh, That's going to be really close to the top. Okay, we don't want too many of them in here. Just a few. I hope my well's going to be deep enough. So look at how great those colors are. This is an experiment. I might need another layer on the top. So some in each section. And then I'm going to take some of these. It would be fun to use tiny sentiment stamps in one of our, 100%. Yep, you could put your sentiment right in there. I'm going to dump some of these in here. Okay, so I'm thinking these beads are not going to work for me. They will work, but the problem is the beads are higher or as high as the top edge of this piece. And so they're not going to move around very well. I need to make my well deeper. And I don't want to take the time to cut more layers and have you watch me glue them in. So I'm going to dump these out. They would be so cool. Okay, well, some of them went rolling away. That's okay. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go with just these because I think they're going to look really good in there because they're more flat and I think they'll work better for what I'm doing here. You don't want to overfill your shaker sections because then things won't move around. But this will be better. I really wanted to use those shaker beads, but I did not make it deep enough. This won't be quite as colorful. I could put in some tiny diamonds as well, but I'm just going to go with these. It'll be great. And these are kind of iridescent, so they pick up lots of colors. Okay, so that is that. Put lid on that before we have an explosion. And then we need to cut out some acetate, which I already did. So I used the backer. I don't know if you can see that. I used the backer and I cut off the strings because I don't need that hanging down there. This is going to seal this up. Okay, so we want to make sure that we put some adhesive. This is where shakers get a little tricky. And that's why I really like this glue press because you can be very precise with where you're putting your glue. And I'm just going to put glue along the edge. So that we can put, oops, now I got glue inside there. So shakers are definitely fussy. They're not something you make 12 of. But they are so very cool. So we're just adding glue. And then we're going to put the piece of acetate. And it's going to cover up, our top layer is going to cover up all this so you won't see it. Okay, so we're going to get these. I'm not too worried about my strings right now because I don't have the shaker going down that far, but everything is there. So, okay. So now we're going to put on our acetate. And we're going to try not to have to wiggle it around too much. So we're just going to put it on there and then just line it up. Sorry, I'm just pulling it off screen so I can make sure it's in the right spot and all my stack is going to be good. Okay, and I'm going to push that on. And this seals off each of the sections. And then my final layer is going to go on the top like this. So it's on top of the acetate and my other section. So when I'm done, all of those pieces are going to move around in there. And see how it's catching all the light. So that is how we're going to finish off that piece. I'm not going to glue it. You don't need to watch me glue that part, but that's going to glue right on top and it's going to line up perfectly with the piece underneath. And you're going to end up with the same blend inside as on the outside. I really wish those would have worked out better. I might rip off my acetate and add another layer and put those in, but we'll see. So yeah, I love that. So that's how you put together the shaker. So it's very, very easy. And those pieces are bopping around in there, which is what you want. And then, what is our time at? We're at minute 5. Okay, we just have a couple more quick ones to show. So I did this ink blend earlier, right? And I used a color combination with the Distress Oxide inks. And this stencil here is a layering stencil called Balloon Palette. Now let me find it. Here it is. So this is one of those stencils. We've shown these before. 4 layers. And it also does swatch your inks at the same time. You can do just the panel, which is what I did, because I don't need to swatch them because I have the card. But if you want to swatch your inks as you go, it's a really cool concept. And then you end up with this beautiful balloon panel. So 4 layers. I chose 4 colors, which were the ones I showed you earlier, the Distress Oxides. So I did Broken China, Mowed Lawn, Twisted Citron, and Chipped Sapphire. And then that was this card here from Tailored Expressions, where they used cotton candy, dill pickle, kiwi, and Concord grape. Okay, so I just went to a totally different ink company, and I think it turned out really great. So that panel is beautiful on its own like this. You can see that it's been used in the background on this card here. Okay, so in the background, that's that balloon palette. In behind the squiggle stacks and your ink blended balloon cluster. It has been used on this card here as a background. And then the shadow die, Amanda cut the shadow die out, and then she nested in the word celebrate into that piece. So that is that balloon palette. And then this one here is also the balloon palette. So you can see that beautiful color combination. And she used the squiggle stacklets to cut that out and then layered her things on top. And do I have any more samples? Let's see what here. Oh, yep, here's another one. So this one's really cool. So this one, she actually did 2 panels. You can do this a couple of different ways. She did 2 panels in this particular case, and one is the background, and then the other one she cut out of squiggle stacklets and then layered it on top so you kind of match up the pattern. So it gives you that. You can cut the squiggle stacklets out of the base one and pop it up, and then it's called like a spotlight technique, which is cool too. So either way that you do it, it's awesome. But I love that. But then there's also another technique that you can do, and that would be to take your die cut. So here's one that I cut out. This is using, I forget what these are called. I don't know if I have them written down. Let me see. Oh, yes, I do. So this is the A2 Large Scalloped Stacklets from Tailored Expressions. A2 Large Scalloped Stacklets. And I'm going to cut out this panel using that, the largest one. Okay, here's the largest one. And I'm going to cut out this panel. I'm hoping it's going to work. Yep. Okay, so let's get our cutting plates here, which I've now buried with everything else. Okay, so you can see how precise this die has to be, because when you stencil out your panel, there's a white line around this, which is quite nice. It kind of looks like a mat, but I want to make sure I can get this die to be positioned and I don't go into that white section. So because this magnet is so strong, I can position that, and I'm not worried that it's going to move. It's going to be right there. And I'm going to run this through. And what it's going to do is take that background and it's going to give it a nice scalloped edge. Okay. And it didn't cut all the way through. I'm using too heavy of a paper. That's the problem. There is a shim that I can use. I should just not be so stubborn and put the shim in. Let's do that. I just didn't want to do it. Okay, so here's the shim. We're just going to put that shim in there. And then we won't have any problems with it not cutting. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now, see, no problems. Just shouldn't be so stubborn. So now we've got that panel, but I want to go a step further and I want to add some more detail to it. And this embossing folder here that is shown in the background of this, I absolutely love it. It's called Shout Out Birthday. So it's right here. Shout Out Birthday. I am going to take this panel after it's been stenciled, and I'm going to run it through the embossing folder. Okay, so I'm going to put this on here like this. This is just to create a really fun background. And I'm holding the panel up against the top of the embossing folder, getting it positioned the way that I want it. And then I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go over to my other machine here, and I'm going to run it through. This is too wide for this machine. So this is a 6x6 embossing folder. It doesn't fit in the Empress. So I have my Spellbinders machine set up right here, and I'm just going to run this through on here. So let's see. And then we're going to have a textured, stenciled background, which I think just looks so good. So that's what that looks like. And you can leave it just like that, or you can take a sanding block and you can lightly sand the ink off of, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll show you a section. So it's going to expose the white on top of the balloons and give you a little bit of that white showing through, which is kind of a cool technique. So you can do it either way. And then it gives you a very similar look to this card here, where I can then layer my stuff on top, and you've got that awesome background going on there. So what do you think of all of that? It's pretty fun, right? So you can do a lot of different things with just a few products. So just to review, I see your question, Lena. I will get to that. Just to review what we used. Okay, I have everything all over the place now. So the balloons, let me find the package so I can tell you exactly what it's called. I've lost it. Wow. I try to be organized when I do this, and it just doesn't always work out. Okay. Is it right here? Yes. So bursting balloons is the die that we used to do most of the techniques here. Okay, so that's the one with the backer die and that outline die. Then we have the balloon palette. That's the stencil that does this background here. Then we have the embossing folder, which is called Shout Out Birthday. And we used the, these ones here. This is the A2 large scalloped stacklets, which gives you this nice chunky scallop. And then we also have squiggle stacklets. I don't have the packaging for that one, but that's this one. I didn't use the squiggle stacklets on any of the ones that I showed, but Amanda used them on several of her samples. That's all these nice squiggly ones here. Did she use them on any others? No, I don't think so. But that's the squiggle stacklets. And then the little sentiment strips are the Bitty Strips Everyday Occasions. So yeah, so that's all the fun stuff that we used in today's live. Now, we also have the palette playbooks. The Birthday Boy and Birthday Girl was what I was focusing on today. I know our inventory is very low on these, but we have more coming on Thursday, and I'll order more again to arrive August 6th, along with 5 new ones that have already been ordered. They're themed ones. There's Sympathy, Wedding, gosh, what were they all? Floral, Rainbow. There's one more. I can't remember what it is, but there's 5 more coming, which is really awesome. Plus the full sets are coming. So yeah, any questions? Oh yes, what was the question here? Is that an Empress Mini? This is an Empress Elite Mini. They've just redesigned the machine, so it's bigger than the Mini. It will fit all of your nesting dies, like your rectangles, all that. Oh, baby, that's the one. Yes, thank you. It will fit all of your nesting dies, like your rectangles, your circles, all those great things. Embossing folders. I have not used mine yet for embossing folders. A customer of ours reached out to Anna Griffin and got some sandwich ideas, and she's forwarded them to me. They seem very comprehensive I would say there's no real cut in stone embossing sandwich. You have to really play around with it. And the danger of doing that is that if you put it through your machine and it's too tight, you can throw the calibration out. So I'm going to be using my Spellbinders Platinum 6 to do my embossing folders. I'm very comfortable with that machine. I love the Empress because the majority of my die cutting can go through there. And then I have my Spellbinders Platinum 6 to fall back on for other things. And I use that for my glimmer and all that kind of stuff. So, so that's great. Anybody else have any questions they want to ask before I hope you lock that Tiny Diamonds. I did. I closed it up. I was making you nervous. Yeah, that would be a disaster. I mean, I already have a few little shaker beads that went flying around my desk, but I'm not worried. I can pick those up. Okay, well, I hope you learned a thing or two. I didn't actually make any full cards, but there were lots of samples to kind of show what the completed looks look like. But I wanted to break down the products a little bit more. The shaker is very fun. I love that. And yeah, and I think my shaker will be good once I get it done. I just want to play around with that a little bit and see where I end up. But I think it's going to be good. It's a little less flashy than Amanda's is, but I think it can still be nice. And I might be able to take that top layer of acetate on and add another couple layers in there, and then I can put some of those shaker beads in there, but we'll play with that. We'll play with that off screen. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off. Look at my desk. It's a disaster. That just means I had fun. I hope you did too. And if you have any questions about any of the products or anything I explained, feel free to email us at the store, and we're happy to help with that. I'll just throw up, I'll throw up the banner just so you know. There's the email address, twoscrapbookfriends@gmail.com. And I'm happy to answer any questions, guide you in any of the products that we talked about, etc. So feel free to reach out if you need to, and we'll talk again soon.